It's you and in the first like 3 or 4.
Okay guys, so today I know I taught you about water in Africa. Do you guys remember all that we talked about in Zambia in particular? Because you guys have writing buddies in Zambia, right? Yeah. Okay, so I kind of stuck with that theme. And today we're going to be doing something called a source analysis. And so you're going to be looking at a bunch of different pictures and we're going to talk a little bit about them. But first we're going to look at a map. And I just want to find what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about North Carolina and Zambia. And we're going to kind of compare them and see what they have in common and what they don't have in common. So let's zoom in on this map and find North Carolina. Okay. You guys see it on here? I'll show it around. Can you point to it? Yep. And well, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more to find Wilmington. There we go. Can you see Wilmington? Okay. You see Wilmington on there? We're like right near the water. That's why we're so close to the beach. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see all of them. But there it all is. In between South Carolina.
Can you zoom into like the land kind of?
The land. Well, what we can do, the cool thing about this map is that it can show the mountains. So you see all the really dark green is the mountains. It's called the Appalachian Mountains. And then there's the Allegheny and Blue Ridge. There's a bunch of mountains. But that's a little bit further away because we don't have mountains in Wilmington, do we? No, we have lots of ocean and flatland, right? Okay, so let's zoom out and hold it so that most of you can see. Can everyone see a little bit? Alright, so we're going to zoom out and we're going to go over to, if I can zoom out. Why is it frozen? Okay, let's try and refresh it. Okay, so here's Zambia. We can zoom in, or first let's look at the big continent. So Africa is pretty big. Can you see it? You guys have learned about it, right? Okay, and so can anyone find Zambia if it's zoomed out this much? It's in the middle, right? There it is. See it?
Yeah.
Zambia? Can you see it? Right. Okay, so it's in the middle. And it's really far away. So North Carolina is all the way over here, and then you have to go all the way across the ocean and get to Zambia. So it's pretty far away. So there's going to be some differences, right? Probably. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's focus a little bit on some particular differences. First, let's talk a little bit about transportation. So what kind of transportation do we use in North Carolina? How do we get around? How do you guys get to
Car.
Car. Okay, what else? You walk to school? That's cool. You live in the neighborhood? Okay, so we walk sometimes. Is that pretty common or no? No. Okay, what about what are some bigger things? Like bus, okay. Planes. So
Jets.
big machines, right? Well, this is in Zambia. So what are they riding right now?
Bicycles.
Bicycles. This is in North Carolina. That's actually on South College Road. You guys have probably driven on that road many times. Okay. So you see that they're biking, and that is.
Yeah, I wish I could bike everywhere.
I know, that would be cool. And you can see what are the differences in the roads too. This one is what?
That's gravel, right?
Paved.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's got
That's regular, like
dirt. Right. So developed over there. So a lot of people over there either bike or walk because one, they can't afford to have cars, and two, it's just not as common. Because for the most part, you know, we talked about in the lesson that I taught you before, how the little girl Gigi had to walk miles and miles to get to water, and so these people spend a lot of their time trying to get from place to place, and so it makes it easier in the United States and in North Carolina in particular that we can just get in our car and go wherever we want, right? And it doesn't take very long. So that's one difference, is the transportation and how people get from place to place. Okay, so now we're going to talk about cash crops. Do you guys know what cash crops are? Can you guess? So
A sort of crop.
a sort of crop, okay. What do you think cash might mean? If a crop is giving us cash. It's worth money, okay. So
Oh, kind of like worth a lot of money or something, kind of.
yeah, so a cash crop is a crop, a plant that that a place grows in a big quantity, and it provides money for the people who live there. And so they sell those crops to different people all around the world so that they can get money for it. And so North Carolina and Zambia have very different cash crops.
So it can be different kind of crops.
Yeah, so different states in the United States have different cash crops, different countries have different cash crops. It all depends on the land and what grows best on that land. So in North Carolina, can anyone guess what this might be? It's kind of hard to tell.
A mountain?
The plants, what kind of plants are they?
Corn?
Looks kind of like lettuce.
Kale?
No, good guess. Okay, so it's actually tobacco, which is interesting because, you know, people say, oh, smoking is very bad, but the cash crop of North Carolina is tobacco. And so we've been growing it for many, many years. It goes way back, and because our land, it just thrives on our land in North Carolina, and so this is a big field of tobacco. And then you guys learned, I think, about what the cash crop in Zambia is. What is this? Corn and maize, right? That's another name for it. So they use, not only do they sell it, but they also use it a lot in their food, right? They use a lot of corn, they eat a lot of corn, and it can be made into different things like dough and porridge and all of that. So those are also differences.
When you're talking about the mountains, I've actually been to the foothills, which is close to the mountains, and the actual mountains.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool how there's so many
The
different.
actual mountains is probably 7 or 6 hours, and the foothills is 5 away.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty far away, but it's nice that North Carolina has beach and mountains, right? Okay. So, something else that we can compare is the terrain. Does anyone know what a terrain means?
It's a type of rainforest, right? Or a jungle.
What do you think it is? Type of land, that's right. A jungle or a forest could be a type of terrain. It's an example of it. So, can anyone guess which one is North Carolina, which one is Zambia? North
Zambia.
She's right. So this is Zambia and this is North Carolina. Because you see these? What kind of trees are these?
Pine trees.
Pine trees. You see a lot of pine trees around?
Yes.
Yeah. So pine tree forests are very common in North
Although we do kind of have hills here.
Yeah, so this is called woodland. So you see how the trees are kind of spaced out? They're not all real tight together, and there's kind of just some grassy land all around it. That's called a woodland, and that's very common in Zambia, but we also do have some of that in North Carolina.
And we also have that. That's what I'm actually looking at.
What, the forest?
Yeah.
Yeah. So both places they have something called woodland, and they also have forests, but these particular trees, these pine trees, are very common to North Carolina. I don't think you're going to find pine trees in Zambia because Zambia's climate is a lot hotter, and they don't do well in that really, really dry heat. We have more humid heat here in North Carolina. Okay, and then now we're going to talk a little bit about something that I think you guys can really relate to. So what's going on in these pictures?
Teachers teaching their students or something.
What environment is this? Where is this located? School, right? Yep. So which one is North Carolina and which one is
North Carolina, Zambia.
Okay, so what are some common themes that you can see in this picture?
They have books.
What do you think?
We have desks and we have tables.
Yeah, okay. So what's in the background of these pictures?
Whiteboards. Well, chalkboard and whiteboard.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same concept though, right? The teacher stands in front of the classroom and teaches on the whiteboard or the chalkboard, writes out information for the students to see. And then what are they holding?
Books.
Books. You guys use books, right? Yeah. So there's some big common themes in these pictures. Everyone goes to school and they still learn. They use books and whiteboards. They have teachers. Just might be laid out a little bit differently.
Zambia isn't what it used to be.
Oh yeah, that was the website. I think they were talking about education and how it's changed over there. Because education can always be changing, right? Okay, one last picture. What's going on in these pictures?
They're kind of like doing the same thing as parachute almost.
They're playing, right? And you know where this picture was taken?
Here.
Yep, good job. This was on, I think, your field day. Did you guys have fun with that? Yeah. So you can see that kids still play and they still go to school just like you guys. And I thought these pictures were cool because they're kind of doing the same thing. They're all standing in a circle and playing at school. Can you see?
That was where we did the mushroom, where they went inside of it and put it down.
That's cool. Is that a game?
Yeah, it's called parachute.
You all have to run into the center.
So like, you go like this and do crazy stuff with balls, and then when you went up high, you ran in, you twisted around and put it down, and you held it down, and there was air in it, and it just kind of took a while for it to go down.
Cool. Okay, so let's lay all these pictures out so everyone can see them. Talk a little bit about everything that we observed today. Okay, so who can tell me something that we are different from Zambia? A way that we're different from Zambia. Go for it. Terrain. Good job. It's a big word.
Yes. As North Carolina had trees and pavement and concrete, and people in Zambia had just used dirt and patching.
Yeah. So that kind of has to do with, you know, it actually is the government who can mandate how our roads are built, and so their government might not be as involved in the building of the roads as they are here. And it also probably has to do with the fact that we use cars, and if all these cars were driving on dirt roads, it would be really dusty, wouldn't it? We'd be kicking out all that dust up. That's how it used to be, but then they paved the roads and it made our lives a lot easier. Okay, anything else?
Crops.
Crops. So we still grow corn in the United States, right?
But our cash crop is that.
Right. So we do have commonalities in what we grow, but what we grow for money, for the biggest amount of money, is different. And then you said the terrain, Veronica, and then schools are very similar. They might look a little bit different, but they're all getting the same thing out of it, right? Okay, so now we're gonna draw. Do you guys know what a Venn diagram is? You've been learning about them all year, right? Okay, so let's draw a Venn diagram. And how should we label these circles? What do you think?
Zambia and both.
Good job. Okay, that's okay. So Zambia, how do we spell Zambia? Good job. And then North Carolina, you can either abbreviate it as NC or write it all out. Okay, so what's something that we should put on the Zambia side?
Dirt roads.
Okay. about North Carolina?
Streets.
Okay, what kind of streets?
Pavement.
Paved streets. Good job. Okay, and what's something we could put on under both?
Schools are similar.
Schools.
Yeah. Okay, now I'll give you guys a minute to work on your end and then we'll come back and talk about what you write, okay? You can look at the pictures if you need to. This was called woodland. That's the terrain. You doing okay? Alright, so what kinds of things do people write? What you guys write?
They we both have cash crops,
Cash crop? Mm-hmm.
and we both grow crops.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay. What about you, Veronica? What do you write? Mm-hmm. We have pine trees in North Carolina.
They also ride bikes and we ride cars.
Mm-hmm. And we ride bikes too, but it's just not as
As common.
Right, as common. Mm-hmm. Okay. What'd you write, Alexa?
We have dirt roads and we have paved streets.
Other way around. You said we have dirt roads and they have. It's the other way around. We have paved roads and they have paved streets.
I know. Zambia has the dirt roads.
Yeah, but you said we had.
It's okay. I knew what she meant. That's all that you wrote, though, I think. Yeah. Okay, do we have anything else in common with Zambia that we could put in the middle?
I might be able to put. I might be putting one.
Both kids play, right? At school,
Oh,
they
yeah.
play? Alright, good job, guys. So we just talked a lot about geography. Do you guys know what geography means?
I forgot.
Does anyone want to take a guess? Geo. Does geo sound familiar to anyone? Based on what we learned, what do you think it might mean? If this is all an example of geography. Any guesses? Well, geography is the study of the land, and it's the study of how humans